the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And he also created men and women in his image. And part of that image is that we share in his creativity. I've asked Iain, Karen, and Jill from media and art departments to share about their perspective of how God, the Creator, affects what we do as artists.
One of the things we talk about in my film classes a lot, and something I'm actually really passionate about, is story structure. And we look a lot at, like, why do we tell stories the way that we do? Or another way to think about it is, why is it not satisfying to watch an hour of your movie and just turn it off? Or why can't you take your favorite novel and rip it in half and give half to two people you like? And it's because we want the whole story. There are things that happen, and structurally, emotionally things that we really need from stories that make them compelling. And if we boil it all down, what it really comes to is, like, we want to see something break and then get fixed, right? And so it's a cycle of brokenness and redemption. And you can see this, like, across any culture. Any storytelling is always echoing this. And the way I look at it is, like, why do we tell stories the way we do? Because we're ultimately echoing, like, the story of creation. Not to get too philosophical, but I've wondered if, like, Adam and Eve would actually, if maybe they could appreciate more stories than we do, because being, like, pre-fall, like, if they don't long for that same sort of brokenness redemption cycle. But another idea that I heard once that I think was really fascinating is that films and stories can also be, when the scriptures talk about how the Holy Spirit can intercede for us, is that a lot of times, like, movies can be prayers. I think about a movie like Gladiator, for instance, if you remember that one. Where Maximus is just, like, horrible things happen to him, and we long for justice as we watch him. Or perhaps another movie you've seen where you start to, like, you may be caught off guard, you start to cry, you start to well up, and what you realize is that the thing that you're seeing on screen is a desire, or it's a need that you recognize as, like, basically human and something that's basically yours. And so I think that art can be a way that God intercedes through the Spirit on our behalf for things that we don't even know. So I love storytelling, and I think that it's a very clear echo of God the Creator.
Okay, so God as an artist creator, what comes to my mind is just thinking about God, and obviously that creation is his greatest revelation, right? That's how we know who he is, and I think that as and looking at man as the apex of God's creation is kind of cool, and knowing, I think of, like, man, I think of everything that we have is revealing who God is, and it's so amazing to us. It's, like, beyond us, but then at the same time, knowing that we're fallen man, and everything's fallen, and everything is but a dim reflection of what the original creation was. I think that's a real cool part of creation to think about. And I also think just how I am in the classroom with my kids and seeing them as creators. Like, I feel like I'm a psychologist. I can, like, tell who they are by the lines they make, by the colors they choose, by every single thing that comes out of them. It's like a revelation of their personality. It's like I psychoanalyze them all the time, just like, oh, you're this and you don't like this, and I know it's like a total study in who they are. So to me, that's, like, so cool to be in the arts.
Talking about God the Creator, in terms of how that relates to the visual arts and what we do in the visual arts, I think as a department and as a teacher myself, I try to talk to my students about how their work is a reflection of themselves as a creation of the Creator, and a message that is being taken in by the viewer. So what is that message? And you can have control over that message, and that message can bring glory, and it can also do damage. And so just being aware of kind of the influence that you have. Each of us is given a platform at certain times in our life, some bigger than others, and that platform, whatever it is, should be glorifying God in whatever you're doing, even if that's in the secular world. And we need Christians in the secular world. So working in the visual arts, it's a fantastic opportunity to be a reflection not only of creation, but of love, light, and goodness, and all that God represents. And so, pointing back to the Creator, our work is a work of worship, of praise, of offering, thanksgiving, at least for myself, in all that I'm doing and all that I'm creating. I'm grateful for that gift, grateful for the privilege of being a creator myself in the reflection of my Creator, and that's a privilege, and that's something that we should not take lightly.
It's great to understand creation as storytelling. Throughout history, we understand that God is revealing Himself in His story, and we can also tell stories as we're creating. And it's also great to understand creation as revelation, that we have come to understand God and have no excuse to believing that He's there because of creation. He has revealed Himself through that. And also, we can reveal ourselves as we are creative and create things in art or dance or music. And it's also great to understand creation as an influence to others that actually reflects God's creation and who He is and who Jesus is. We don't even have to mention His name, but because of creation, it reveals Him and also influences others to be drawn closer to Him.